You come into this earth to learn, to live, to love. All of that knows no skin color. Love knows no race. There are good and bad people in every culture, in every skin color. There's racists in every skin color. And love is nonlinear. Love knows no age. It does not know age. But your mind has to be an adult. It has to be emotionally developed. And that happens when you're an adult, okay? That doesn't happen when you're 3 years old, all right? So that's why I really despise these cultures who have these child brides, these 60, 70-year-old men buying little girls to marry in some certain cultures and religions. It's just disgusting because you know that's based on a physical, sexual perversity. Is that a word? They're perverts. They're molesters. They're just using their religion to satisfy their sexual drive, which is perverse. Because you have to be emotionally balanced, and that doesn't happen until you're an adult. And even most adults today are not emotionally developed. I was talking about this with somebody a while ago. We really had this cool discussion that love knows no age. Some of you know what I'm talking about. At one of my seminars, I was talking to this group of people, and I asked them, I said, what do you think of it when you see a couple and one of them is much, much older than the other one? And you get various answers, and the obvious ones are like if you have a guy who is 20 years older than his girlfriend, some people will say, well, that's not right because he could be her father. And they say, well, if they have children, it's going to be sad for the wife because the man's going to die early and the wife will be alone and the children will have no father. From when people answer like that, that's practicality, but it's not love. That's being practical, but it's not love. And then the others, one lady said her husband was 25 years older than her. And she was 23 years old. And she went out with guys that were in her age group. But what she learned was that, I don't have time for these guys. These young guys, they're not developed enough emotionally. They're insecure. They always got to feel they need to prove that they're men, that they're strong, that they're good in this and good in that. Seems like they always feel a need to prove something. And she said, it's just stupid. I don't have time for that, she said. And she was working in a store, and she had this customer, and he was older guy. And he was asking for help in something. And so she was talking with him. He's kind of a funny guy. So he cracked a couple of jokes and made her laugh, and the ice was broken. So they started talking, and he asked her for coffee. We have a break coming up. He said, can I have a coffee with you? And she said, sure. And that incident happened 20 years ago. They're still together. They're married. He was 25 years older than her. And her answer at the seminar was that for her, now everybody's different, but for her, she said, I didn't have time for waiting around for guys my age to develop. I didn't have that time, she said. But as she ran into this guy, he was emotionally secure, and that was the most important thing for her, that he was emotionally secure. Because people who are emotionally secure, they know what love is. Her family was kind of down on her for a while because they were angry that she was marrying somebody who was almost the same age as her father. And she said, but he's not my father. My father is that guy over there. That's my dad. I love him with all my heart. He will always be my father. But this other guy, that's my man, she said. Love knows no age, she said. It took him a while, but eventually they came around. And her family saw that she's really happy. And that this guy is not out to get a young girl. The most important thing is both of you are emotionally developed. So this lady said that inside we were the same age. As our physical bodies were not the same age, but our love age was the same. And I thought, that is a cool way to say that. Our love age was the same. This is a nonlinear way of thinking. Nonlinear is when things don't go in a straight line. And it's not because you're drunk. It's not because of hallucinogens. No, it's I mean time. It's talking about time. Yeah, when you're talking about time in nonlinear, it does not go in one direction. See, linear is when you think that time only goes forward, and that the further you are, the better you are. So when you look at people behind you, the tendency is to think, I'm better than them. You see? You're separating yourself from others, and now you create this concept of me against them. So now you see everything as in two groups. The things that are like you, the things you like, and then the other group is everything else. The things you don't like, the things you think because they're not at the same level as you, that they're not as smart as you. So from that thinking, you develop something called paternalism. Paternal meaning fatherly, that you think that you're above others, that you know what's right for others. If they just do what you say, everything will be good. See? That's paternalism. Then that expands out to your race. You think that because of whatever race you are, you think that your race is the best race. That everything else is stupid. It's racism. Yeah? So racism comes from that. Then you start thinking your culture. And you say, okay, my culture is beautiful and anything else is not. So you start judging other cultures. You look at other cultures' beliefs and you say, okay, if them guys only did this a different way, it would be better. See? Now you're judging other cultures by your culture standards. That's ethnocentrism. And then the fourth thing you develop, my way is the only way. That's dogma. Religion results from dogma. That means all of this is created by the way a man thinks. I should say human, because women can be dualistic too. Women are not exempt from this. There's women who are also dualistic as well. So I'll say this is created by humans. It's not a natural way. This is something we learn, which means it can be unlearned. That's all coming from nonlinear, and this creating this concept of duality. And from duality comes these four things: paternalism, ethnocentrism, racism, dogma. And then you start applying this to emotions, and you say, okay, only happiness is good and everything else is bad. Yeah. And so you're always separating everything into two groups. That's why they use the word dual, which is a Latin word. And from that comes the word duality. So you create everything, you see everything in your mind as having only two components. And guess what? When you think like that, you're creating good versus evil. But when you're thinking like that, you're not developed. Because the universe says there is always going to be at least three components to anything in any situation. In most cases, there's four. But it's always, always, always going to be at least three. There's one thing that I like to say. It's like, look at the day. If you're a dualistic person, you accept only night and day. So you consider dusk and dawn as what? What is that then? How do you perceive that? If you only believe in night and day, then what if that really happens? What if all of a sudden, okay, daytime is over, so now it's going to be nighttime, so the earth shifts really fast. So it's night. So, ching, now it's nighttime. Totally dark. Does that happen? No, it doesn't. Shit, if it did, we'd end up in a different part of the world every what? every few hours we end up in a different part of the world if the earth moved that fast. It's not a good time to be sitting on the throne, yeah? it's not a good time to be making love. You might end up with another person, yeah? So it doesn't work. No, it gradually moves to night, and from night to day. Where those 2 points connect are sacred points. But it's 4 components. Yeah? Daytime, dusk, nighttime, dawn. It's 4. It's not 2. You see what I mean? Nature's showing this to us. And then look at your body and your lungs. See, a dualistic person is going to say things like, oh, it's better to give than to receive. Look at their creation, their Bible. They say that. It's better to give than to receive. The Lakota belief says, no, we do both. It's necessary to do both. Sometimes we need help. At some point in our lives, all of us are going to need help. And it's important to ask for it. Your lungs teach you that. Every breath. If all you think is it's better to give, then that's exhaling all the time. Or it's exhaling long time, and inhaling would be to receive or to ask for help. So that would mean you would exhale really long time and inhale short time. Try that. Try that. Let's see if that works. Let's see how long it takes for you to lose consciousness. Because it doesn't work. You exhale as much as you inhale. That means sometimes in our lives we have to ask for help, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the dualistic people who say that's wrong because their belief is it's better to give. So that means those who receive are less than the givers. They separate that. The Lakota belief says no. Sometimes in our lives we need help and we have to ask. Sometimes we give help. We do both. Sometimes we give, sometimes we receive. And sometimes we ask, do you need help? Or can you help me? You see what I mean? Look at that. In that situation, again, four components: giving, receiving, asking for help, asking if somebody needs help. See, it's never just two. It's always going to be at least three. And it's not about which one is better. No, no, no. See, that's a dualistic tendency to think, oh, which one is better? Now, getting back to this time thing, in the Lakota way, it's nonlinear. Yes, we do go forward. We're born and then we die. But in between, we live. But even when we die, we're not actually dying. We're being born in a different existence. So it's always birth. That's why the circle is sacred to us. It never ends. There's no death. It's always a birth. It's always a birth. For those of you who believe in reincarnation, it's always a birth. You know, you understand that. So there's never an end. It's always a birth. Okay, now getting to this time thing. In the non-linear way, in the Lakota ancient belief, yes, some things go one direction, but while you're in that direction, you can also be in other places. You can look at your past and come to peace with the difficult part. As you come to peace with the difficult part of your past, you remember more of the nice things from your past, and that's medicine. That's healing power. And then you can look at it again and learn something new. Because as you're living a healthy life, as you're going forward, living a healthy life, you comprehend more of reality. So it's a good idea to look in your past, something that happened several years ago. Look in there and you're going to see something new because you comprehend more now. So you can always learn something from your past. Then you bring that information to the present moment and continue. You can use that to help you and other people. That's how you bless other people. That's how you're a blessing. And another thing you can do is jump forward. You visualize what you would like to be in the future. Take some moments every day to do that. Visualize that. Do that in private, yeah? And then you come back to the present moment again. And what's happening when you do that is you're receiving something from the future, and it's going to help you receive inspiration to accomplish whatever it is that you have as a goal in your life. You accomplish that. And actually, it's going to be better than what you visualize. Your reality will be better than what you realize. But you see, in both ways, you bring it back to the present moment because that's the most important moment. This is how you're nonlinear. And when people are nonlinear, it's really hard to guess their age. Unless they're really physically in their 80s and 90s, then yeah, you probably can guess their age. But in their 40s and 50s, sometimes it's hard to guess their age. So this couple, this lady that was at one of my seminars, she's about my age. And so that means her husband is in his 70s. But she doesn't see it that way. They know. This is something they accept. They know that in time he may die, but then you don't know the future. Something could happen to her. You don't know that. So why worry about it? If you base your decision on something you don't know, that's not a good decision. Yes, the chances are he's going to die before her because he's 25 years older. Yes, that is most likely going to happen, but you don't know that for sure. he might live to his 90s and actually outlive her. Do you see what I mean? You don't know these things. So why make a decision based on something you don't know when it comes to love? When it comes to love, you should not be thinking in a linear way, because then you don't know love. Because love is non-linear. This is Lakota Star Knowledge. Now, I'm not saying everybody should be 20 years apart. No, 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 no. But I'm just saying there are situations where the physical age is going to be a big span. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're both emotionally secure. That's the most important thing. There was another lady there during the seminar, and she said her husband was 19 years older than her, and she believed the same as what this other lady was saying, for the same reason. And these linear thinking people, they're saying, but what are you going to do when he dies? And she said, we enjoy now. See, the other ones who are married to older men, they're non-linear. And she said, something could happen to me. Maybe I'm driving down the road and there's a person coming the opposite direction, and let's say that person is texting while driving and ends up running into me head on and I'm dead. Something could happen to me too. We don't know. Why worry about that? Because you don't know it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we don't know about that. So we should not base our decisions on things we do not know. We should be concerned about the present moment. And when it comes to love, you need to be emotionally developed. And then love knows no age. When a guy is with a girl who's much younger, if the guy is emotionally developed, he's saying, finally, I'm with somebody who's emotionally developed. That's the way he's saying it, when he's healthy. Because there's unhealthy versions too, okay? Don't get me wrong. There is unhealthy versions too. Like, for example, there are women who marry for money, for prestige. And there are men who marry young girls to satisfy their sexual fantasy. I know that exists. But what I'm talking about is healthy love. When a girl marries for money and prestige, and a guy marries a young girl because it's a fantasy, this is not love, okay? This is bullshit. That's not love. What I'm talking about is love. So in that, age is not important. You just have to be legal. But inside, you've got to be emotionally developed, and then when you are, you don't know time. Yeah, you don't see things as linear. Now, one of these couples that I talked to you about, her husband was there too. The girl was, I think she was 27 years old, and her husband was 46 years old. And he was at the seminar too. And he said something really interesting too. And it showed to me that this couple was perfect for each other. And what the man said was that in the past, when he was with somebody who was in his age group, he said, it seemed like I could never catch up. He said, she was always ahead of me. I tried to be a good man, but I just wasn't as developed as she was. The women were always more developed than him emotionally. So as a result, the relationship would fail because there were things he just couldn't understand emotionally. If he was with a woman that was his age, it's either the woman is too developed for him or she's not too intelligent. And either way, he was not happy. so the relationship would fail. Now, I'm not saying all women are this way. He just didn't find one. He just didn't find one who was at his level in his area, that was his age group. These two bumped into each other on the university campus. He was in America, he's called a non-traditional student. He wanted to change his career. He was what do you call it? Those people who work in Europe, they call him a chemist. What is it called in America, where you go someplace and you take your prescription and then they fill it out for you? What kind of doctors are those called? I'm forgetting my English, but you know what I mean. In Europe, it's called a chemist. That's what he was. And he wanted to change his career. And so he went back to university in his 40s. And there's nothing wrong with that because, see, he's a non-linear thinker. So he didn't see it as an age thing. He just wanted to change his career. Got a different education. And during that time, he met this girl in class. They had a class together. And they studied together. They became good friends. They became best friends. And they became a couple. He realized that they're the same age. When it comes to love, they have the same love age. So it was interesting to hear from a man's perspective, a healthy man, I have to emphasize, a healthy man. Because there's unhealthy men too, of course. And their fantasy is to marry a teenager. And it's a sexual fantasy. That's all it is. They want to bring that into reality. And those will fail. That's not love. That's lust. But it's not love. But this guy, he's a nonlinear thinker. He knew she was young, but he took the time to know her and found out, hey, they connect really good. And she saw him as more emotionally secure. And that made her feel good. There you go. Good match. Same love age. Now remember, I'm not saying that everybody should be 20 years apart. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that both of you should be emotionally secure. And I've also met couples who were the same age. They were and very solid because they were emotionally secure. Both of them. They didn't care that they were the same age. That didn't matter to them because just like the couples who were 20 years apart in age, they felt, anything could happen. One couple was from Switzerland and she said, maybe we're going out skiing and one of us runs into a tree and dies. We don't know that's going to happen. So why worry about it? You don't know the future. And even if you had an idea about the future, natural law says that things will happen out of the blue that can change everything. You don't know what's going to happen. So why worry about it? You just enjoy what you have now. And when difficulties come, you work at it together. And your love will increase, which is true. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And even if something ends, you can still heal from it. But you don't know these things. So you just enjoy your life as it's happening. Enjoy what you have right now. And if something changes, that's still okay. As long as you remain emotionally secure, you can heal from that situation and enter a new situation. And you got knowledge and wisdom from the one that ended. From the past, we can become healthier. When we become healthier, we attract the same kind of people. Enjoy what you're experiencing now. If you're in a healthy relationship now, don't worry about the future. Just enjoy what you have now. And even if it changes, then don't be concerned about that until it happens. And if it does not happen, good. Good for both of you. It's not important how long a relationship lasts. That's not important. When somebody says, yeah, we've been married for 50 years, that doesn't mean shit. That's linear thinking. That doesn't mean anything. True love does not know years. A healthy couple says, well, we're in love. That's all that matters. That's what a healthy couple says. They don't say, oh, we're in love for 40 years. It keeps getting better. that's not important how long you've been in love. That's not important. What's important is that you are in love. A couple who's been together for 2 years can be more healthy than one who's been together for 50. Because the couple who's been together for 50, chances are really, really high that it's because of outside factors, but it's not because of love. Now, there's exceptions, but generally speaking, a couple who's been together for 50 years is probably because of pressure from the church, pressure from society, pressure from their families, that when things got bad and they fell out of love and they didn't want to be seen as outcasts, so they stayed married for their children, and they end up producing children who have emotional, psychological scars and who now lead troubled lives. So it doesn't matter how long you've been with somebody. That's not important. What's important is that you are in love with each other now. True love. That's the most important thing. And don't be concerned about what others think, because society generally praises couples who've been together for 40, 50, 60 years. But that's not healthy. That's not healthy. What's healthy is that you are enjoying what you have. And it doesn't matter how long you've been together. What matters is that you are in love. Again, don't worry about the future. Just enjoy what you have now. Learn from your difficulties, and it will always lead you to blessing. When you learn from your difficulties, it will always lead to blessing. And when this happens in a relationship, your love increases exponentially. And that's beautiful. That's love. Love knows no age, my friends. Love knows no age. But be legal. Hechetuelo, that's what they say in Lakota. That's the truth.
To read more about Lakota Star Knowledge spirituality, you can read my book called Wichocha Otechike. You can see the book cover on the right side of this screen. This book contains the information to what I talk about on my Lakota spirituality videos. To purchase this book, please click below where it says Show More. Clicking on that link will open up the description below, and there you will see a link called To Purchase My Books. As you will see, it's an eBay link. Click on that eBay link, and there you will see the information to get this book. Lila Pilamayelo. Thank you very much.